Did you know that in 2021 8.6 billion videos were uploaded to TikTok and that according to Google Photos, in 2022 4.7 million photos were taken per day? If I ask you, have you ever searched Google for an unknown person you should meet? And, surely when you do it, you not only want to know what activities he has done, but also what he is like. Keep in mind that the images you see in each person's profile will be the first door of entry, whether institutional portal, smartphone, what apps, so your first task, now, is to check what is said about you on the internet. This is what my research is about, and I invite you to immerse yourself in digital identity. If we think that the research showed that Chilean university students are highly truthful and identifiable, but with low awareness of the impact of their activity, we will have more cases like the two that I project. The first is a student who was expelled from the university because during the internship process he shared and communicated on his public professional network with his students, but they managed to reach his private network. They downloaded photographs of the teacher's underwear and distributed them at school. When the school found out, it informed the university that it would no longer receive its interns because it did not comply with institutional ethics. The university, for its part, expelled the intern for damaging his reputation, that is, violating the institutional digital identity. Same situation that another Chilean university student experienced when she went viral in a video that she published on TikTok commenting on the degrading treatment she received from well-off students while she was teaching her classes. So she was fired from the practice center. Human beings always leave traces and identity is nourished by this, according to Cotelli, 2019, Feher, 2019 and George, 2012, the construction of identity is a process of negotiation in the social space that occurs through visual language and writing. Monk, 2013, creates a theory that explains the functional link between the self, identity, and cultural models, pointing out that these are interactive, dynamic, and interdependent systems. At the same time, Castañeda and Carmacho in 2012 determined that ubiquity, participation, and timelessness in the social web are some key triggers in the configuration of digital identity. I highlight timelessness because for students and future professionals, this aspect will be fundamental. We will take it back. Since digital identity lacks a material form, Fanny Georges, a French doctor, created a model in 2009 that allows us to better understand how it is constructed and what indicators it considers. To do this, she divided digital identity into three categories: declarative identity, acting identity, and calculated identity. This model is what my research was based on to determine the digital identity of Chilean students. Briefly, we will say that the declared identity collects the set of relevant and specific data of the individual, which accounts for their corporeal materiality, which is delivered during the subscription process to access and, therefore, exist on the web. The created identity is the information provided by the person's activity in the system, that is, it considers the report of the actions related to the user. The second type of event is related to the user's social activities, among which are actions towards third parties such as commenting or tagging. The third type refers to the recognition of peers, that is, third-party action when being tagged by a friend or recommended by someone. Finally, the calculated identity is composed of variables automatically produced by the system through the qualitative or quantitative calculation established by it. To determine the surname to the digital identity, that is, academic digital identity, it is necessary to know the personal learning environment or PLE. Jordi Adele and Linda Castañeda in 2010 define PLE as the set of tools, sources of information, connections, and activities that each person regularly uses to learn. Sahin and Yulyal in 2016 indicate that PLE places the user at the center of all activity, giving him the independence of choice about where he will a. access the information, b. modify the information, and c. interact with others. Why consider digital identity construction and how to learn? Because according to Zerlanden, 2010, identity and learning are interdependent. Therefore, there will be so many virtual classroom designs and pedagogical strategies that will be more or less consistent than others, depending on the digital identities that students manifest in the educational framework. For this study, fusing the visions of Henkel, 2005, Scholz, 2014, and Gratz, 2020, we will understand academic digital identity as the digital footprint left by the person and others about them on the internet as an educational actor, product of interaction either in the formal sphere within a virtual campus, the traditional face-to-face classroom, or as self-instructional agents in the informal sphere with our peers, family and friends that mixes the public and private spheres of the individual. The one that tells us if we are outstanding students, reflective students, prosumers, virtual nomads, individuals with digital ecological awareness, or who connect to a particular way of learning specific to our identity characterization. The study was developed within the logic of pragmatism, an alternative path to postpositivism and constructivism. The research design is non-experimental since it is carried out without intentionally manipulating the variables. From temporality, it is a synchronous or cross-sectional study, with a descriptive method approach, where the objective is to describe a given phenomenon based on quantitative data with qualitative support, Biscara, 1989. Adhering to a sequential design, with a derivative modality, the so-called Model 2, Steckler et al., 1992. In accordance with the general or main purpose of the study, this research moves from the exploratory and descriptive to the analytical and conclusive. Therefore, the methodology presents a quantitative methodological orientation. For this research, the population corresponds to undergraduate students from public and private Chilean universities. The sample was made up of the 21 Chilean public and private universities, corresponding to 509 subjects under study. The results show that access to digital networks is not conditioned by the socioeconomic variable, but is conditioned by the gender variable, which presents significant differences in the manifestation of the declared identity of the students. The declaration of aspects linked to the definition or social status of the physical self is not an aspect that university students want to hide, so reporting their true name and surname is common for them, providing information that allows them to be clearly identified in digital media, as well as recent and recognizable photographs of themselves, with women most often doing so. It is interesting to explain that Chilean university students, when interacting in digital media, reproduce stereotypical gender dynamics and patterns. If we look at the mental representation between men and women, we will see that the approach is different. Men put emphasis on obtaining followers, which is why they accept people on their social networks, even if they do not know them. They publish all kinds of topics, except those related to their love situation and marital status. For their part, women will only accept people they know or can verify their identity, focusing their attention on the prestige they will achieve with their publications, avoiding talking about politics and religion. Young Chileans will use a first and last name, a recognizable photo, although men, unlike women, will be more inclined to use an avatar and alias. This high veracity of women on the web is explained, in the first instance, by the blurring of the spheres between the public v/s the private, the online v/s the offline. In the second instance, social networks became a primary space for the incorporation of women in citizen dialogue, the vindication of their rights and the denunciation of gender violence. So, in digital media, a reproduction of dynamics and patterns of digital behavior is visualized that reflect stereotypical gender mandates and behaviors present in the face-to-face world, such as the fact that men use aliases, nicknames, more frequently than women, and avatars, which is consistent with what was stated by Triberti, 2017, who states that the creation of avatars is influenced by cultural variables such as gender. And how does this generation study? The main tool they bring with them is the smartphone, with which they study, do their work and stay permanently connected to the network. And they also phubbing in their daily lives, that is, they select whether they want to pay attention and eye contact with a person or if they focus on the cell phone and pretend to listen. Therefore, this research shows that the Chilean university students participating in the study show a hybrid academic digital identity, combining the face-to-face digital, public-private, formal-informal spheres, diluting the exhaustive and specific planes of the sphere of action in each of them, but maintaining stereotypical gender behaviors. This information is key to rethinking the design of any educational action where the technopedagogical design harmonizes the integration between the triad, content, methodology, and technologies to be used, mainly focusing on the benefit of learning needs according to the profile of the students. From the educational aspect, they manage the information and the learning process according to an analog/face-to-face logic in which all study material is downloaded, organized in folders and printed. They use the same 5 tools/websites with which they build their identity, which is why they frequently do not use specific tools for searching and producing information, placing cell phones or smartphones as their main technological tool. Consequently, the production they carry out is in direct harmony with the tools that said technological artifact provides them, which, together with their low awareness of activity and digital skills, implies less production of content, characterizing them more as observers than as prosumers. Hence, the number of digital contents of the multimedia and hypermedia type are more frequent in those who have a high awareness of their activity and which, in this study, do not exceed 20% of the study population. Regarding the students' PLE, although they are useful environments for easy access to content and interaction with other users, they lack a scenario prone to the production of content that involves more elaborate technological treatment through applications. Consequently, the PLE of the university students participating in this study reflect not only their digital competencies, but also their degree of awareness of activity, so the production of technological artifacts and communication in digital media that they deploy are the same as those with which they will configure their digital identity. It can be concluded, according to the above, that their PLE are useful environments for easy access to content and interaction with other users, allowing learning, but they are not focused on managing or building more learning. Adjusting the population under study more to observers than to publishers and prosumers. So it is seen that less awareness of the activity implies less production of content and, likewise, less use of specific tools for its generation. Coinciding with studies that indicate that the starting point for the configuration of PLE varies with the knowledge and awareness of the objective to be achieved. Nguyen, 2020, Torres et al., 2019. In light of the research findings and, in line with the educational scenario revealed by the COVID pandemic that began in 2019, students belonging to Generation Z coexist with 3.0 and 4.0 technologies, and their digital identity will reflect the management of digital tools together with the degree of awareness of said activity. Therefore, the invitation is to rethink education, how we do and will continue to do classes, and we will incorporate the development of digital skills and competencies that instruct in citizen and digital ethics that generate future professionals according to a changing world where technology puts us to the test. Therefore, it is necessary to create resilient systems that provide professional instrumental tools, but also take care of the emotional and work future of future generations of graduates. Promoting personal and institutional digital identities. The new generations will be obliged to take care of what they publish from an early age and protect their digital identity by managing a favorable reputation. Cases such as the one that the newspaper El País published in 2022 titled "Right to Be Forgotten, Online Reputation is a Right, Not a Sentence" demonstrate the impact and need of managing digital identity to have professional opportunities. In this case, it is told how Jose Cohen, an engineer, only managed to rebuild his life after 12 years after an incident with employees of his company, which caused him economic and personal ruin. They falsely accused him of a scam, and on the internet, this was a reality that permanently accompanied him.